live from Daytona before the Budweiser shootout. John, Jimmy, Kenny, and Wendy gets you ready for the first on-track action of 2009. Big crash up in turn 2. There's Paul Menard
it's
and
the
Scott
98.
Speed.
Yeah, when you were reading that promo, we could see Paul Menard in the 98. He was like sideways up at the top of the track.
I believe it was a right rear or something, because it looked like the car just started to get all at once.
Well, let's have a look, Darrell.
It's right here going into turn 1, and about right along in here it just starts.
I believe it was the right rear tire.
It appeared to be.
Scott Speed just couldn't stay off him.
Yeah, it just steps out. It's got the look of a right rear tire being down. See if we can see when he comes by here. Yeah, I think that's what it was. You see the sparks off the wheel.
I believe in the first replay we see a little something flying out from behind. There it goes. Yeah, you saw the rubber chunks flying out from behind it.
What's going to be good is I think we've got minimum damage on both those race cars. Scott Speed, he turned that car just at, almost the last minute.
The right rear gets into the wall pretty good right there.
A little bit of right front damage on Scott Speed's, the 82.
You can see the right rear tire is definitely down on the car, and I don't know if he's made contact with somebody earlier in this run, but she just steps out. That's a sign of a right rear, just soft, and then it goes.
Now there's Scott Speed's right front. The tire is down and damage from contact, and the valence is all pushed up. That's from contact with the track apron coming off the banking.
These are you got your pole setter for tomorrow night's race, and Scott is up there in third or fourth.
A cloud of smoke down in turn 1. You see the left front is down, and there's damage to the splitter on Jamie McMurray's Crown Royal Ford Fusion, and Michael Waltrip has dug himself a hole with the Napa Auto Parts of a look.
It's coming through the tri-oval here. Michael on the outside in the 55ers, Jamie down low. Ooh, Michael got turned by the 12 car of Stremme, and that shot him into the 26 car of McMurray. You see the 12 car back here, right in there. He's going to run into the back of Michael.
But I believe the reason he ran in the back of Michael, the 9 got loose.
Yeah, now I see the 9 got loose.
Exactly what we were talking about a while ago.
Yep, exactly. Michael led up a little bit and got hit. But look at all that paved area. The cars are still they're not trying to get airborne like we've seen so many times down here. They slide to a stop. Both cars crank up.
This is from Casey Kane's car.
Inside 2 wide. Crashing behind you. Keep coming. Keep coming.
Just one of those chain reactions that started with Casey Kane in the 9. Let's see here. Gets loose.
Yep. Just enough
momentum, and
just enough that Michael had to squeeze up, and he got hit from behind by the 12 car.
And then McMurray was on the bottom in the 26. He was just a victim.
Michael went down into him.
We're in it, guys. We're in it.
Let's really slow this down and watch the 9 first of Casey Kane, and Michael trying to stay off him.
Did you think Michael touched him and got him loose?
Possible, Darrell.
But I think it's because the 9 was getting loose already. It looked like he was tail happy there a little bit before that.
And this is one of these difficult questions we wrestle with. Did the 55 bump into the 9, or did the 9 get loose and lose his momentum and back into the 55? We don't know.
No, but I'll tell you what, that is you're loose as a goose coming through this trial, because you're running 190 mile an hour with not near the banking you have in the corners.
And Stremme, who we initially fingered, was a victim of circumstance.
Exactly.
How about Jeff Hensley on top of the pit box calling the shots too?
A lot of good things for him right now. And he's got that hat. Did y'all see that earlier?
He's got a hat. He's a referee in spare time.
Whoa! Problems right there. Ricky Carmichael got bumped. It slid him up the racetrack. He hits Brian Scott.
Just lock it down. Lock it down. Lock it down.
You heard Andy Houston saying, lock it down.
Whew. When he said lock it down, that means lock the brakes up. Don't let that thing keep rolling any farther than it needed to.
And I think he was afraid.
Tell him to be very, very careful. Watch this now. That's Mike Bliss.
Wow.
And just as soon as he got to that rear bumper, it lifted the back end off the ground and turned him up into Brian Scott, it looked like.
And again, spectacular pictures by our cameraman. That was a great shot to be able to see
now,
that.
How do you get spun sideways right in the middle of the back straightaway in front of a pack and nobody hit you?
And a nice job by Brian.
Oh, Brian Scott got into the wall.
He did get into the wall a little bit harder. It looked like on replay than I thought originally.
Yeah, that right rear hit the wall pretty hard. We saw some black marks on the wall after he went by.
You notice the roof flap not going up on that truck, even though it's backwards. The cowl flaps, you can see them coming up, but the roof flap did not come up. NASCAR will look at that.
Yeah, that'll.
Oh, this is a great shot here from turn 3, looking back, and watch this now. Watch that truck on the inside. He's going to get some help. Turned right into Brian Scott, and Brian had absolutely nowhere to go.
That might be a backup truck for Brian Scott, Phil.
It may be. May be.
There's no safer barrier there, so that contact was right into the concrete.
Take another look. Again, the 40 is going to come right up behind and underneath that 4.
Yeah, look how low that bumper is. It just didn't quite match up. If that 40 truck would have been about 2 inches higher in the front end, then the bumper would have matched up better. But, you know, that's what Wayne Auten, our series director, will caution these drivers to Friday night in the drivers meeting. Be careful of the bump drafting. That bumpers really don't line up, and that's a perfect
caution. Actually, red flag out in this practice session at Daytona for a one-car incident up in turn 3. That is Jason Leffler's damaged 38 car.
Yeah, he's got the car tore pretty bad. Didn't hurt anything in the front of the car, but the back of the car. Now, this is a real crazy looking spin. Nobody behind him. He just gets sideways. We can't hardly tell if he had a right rear tire going down maybe to cause this. Doesn't appear, though.
It looked like it was up, didn't it, when the car turned sideways?
It was kind of odd. It looked like, you know, got a little bit free getting in, and cars will do that sometimes here. But, you know, I used to work with Kenny Schrader a lot, and Kenny would say, man, I broke something. Traction.
Yeah, looked like that's what happened there.
But, you know, here at Daytona, Brad, I mean, you see a guy spin with nobody behind him. I mean, that car had to be really loose to start out with.
It did, Rusty. And, you know, yesterday in practice, we saw a little bit of right side tire wear in these race cars. Not a ton, not a lot, but they were giving up just a little bit on the right side, and so there was a little bit of a traction issue or grip.
Bad day at the office for Ryan Newman. A right rear tire. Tony Stewart radioed in. Newman's tire just exploded, and you see it has really torn up not only Newman's car but that of his car owner, Tony Stewart. Let's show you what happened. Nose to tail.
Right in the middle of turn 2.
Just about time he starts off the corner. There she goes. Oh my goodness, that could have been so much worse.
Boy, it could have been real bad. There were a lot of cars coming at that 14 Tony Stewart.
I think Stewart might get away. He might be able to fix his car. It didn't look like he hit anything that hard.
Now watch as Newman's car goes sideways. Look at the fenders already exploded.
Yeah. Wow. Now Larry, didn't he have he had a right rear problem in the qualifier, didn't he?
Well, this is what I was just looking at. The 39 car had run 10 laps. You see him right there again in the middle of turn 2 with his teammate Tony Stewart and the 14 behind him. The tire just comes apart, nowhere for Stewart to go. Yes, Ryan Newman, who qualified 3rd a week ago, on lap 16, I think it was actually lap 13 in the dual races, had a right rear tire come apart. And this is a backup car for the 39 car, so there's no question they're going to have to go to a 3rd car.
And most of the time when you get to the 3rd car, it's not a Daytona car. It's, yep. See him coming off looks like turn 2. Just gets it up in the fence. Again, that right side of that car's got to be about worn out.
Yeah, because that's about the 3rd time that's happened to him this week.
44 and a half back in the bottom.
Now this is
big trouble for 22-year-old Michael Annette from Des Moines, Iowa, in the number 15 car. Backed his car into the fence in between turns 1 and 2.
Steve, it had just a little bit of a look like Greg Biffle did yesterday. Car wiggled just a little bit, get down in the corner. Then all of a sudden, right there on the exit of turn 2, around it came and up into that outside safer barrier. Hard impact as far as the back of that race car. It will definitely have to go to a backup car.
He's already, I mean, just loose. He's still in the gas, Jeff, trying to keep it off the retaining wall. Finally, he locks it down, and a lot of damage. Now he's faced with hard contact. Now he's faced with having to go to a backup car with no laps on the racetrack.
Hermie, yesterday it looked like Greg Biffle spun when he got on throttle, but this looks like he got loose earlier.
Yeah, he's lost it a little bit in the center of the corner, tried to correct it, and it bobbled one time, then came around with him.
One more look, this time at real time.
Yeah, he's in the middle of the corner. He's probably started getting loose on entry down into the center of the corner, bobbled, and then, you know, it looks like he could have done something.
Kelly Byers is 8th right now, and this is John West Townley, who is the reason the track practice is halted, because he has pounded the wall.
Sure has, Mike.
That's concrete dust, it looks like, coming out of those wheels.
Just up the racetrack, you can see up there in the gray where there's just no grip, you could actually start to see the dust fly. You just run out of racetrack.
And he hit the wall about 30 feet after where the safer barrier stops. You see on the right rear wheel, that's concrete dust.
And that was a brand new race car they had unloaded here this weekend.
Boy, was is the operative word there. Red flag in NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. And we appreciate all their efforts and hope you do too.
We got trouble right there off of turn 2. The Brendan Gaughan is up and spinning off of turn 2 right now. He got a high off the corner and got into the outside wall because of it.
I thought for a minute he was going to keep it off of it.
That hurts.
We're at the backup, right?
How far that rear end's pushed over.
He got in behind Andy Ponstein right there. I think he was going to go high, and that hasn't been cleared off very much. He got up that loose stuff, and
you could see the rooster.
He just tail of. And I think right here, he would have had it saved. He looked like he almost needed to go back to the gas a little bit, but he didn't. It rolled back up into her. I mean, just he has just a fast race car too.
Yeah, that first hit doesn't hurt the car that badly. It's the one that's coming. Up in the loose stuff here. Kisses the wall. Not so bad. Here comes trouble.
That is a hard lift.
Spun out 2.
Now, they'll eventually get that groove worked in by the race, but right now she's not ready to be racing in.
Jeff, I agree with you. Right there brushing the wall, that's not bad, but
no, he was
the car's
okay.
not locked down. He's not. Oh, God.
Well, it's like I think he went back to the gas. I think he thought maybe he was a little bit further away, maybe what he realized, but the bottom line is it didn't work, and he hit the left side extremely hard. You can see the right side is relatively unscathed with a little brush with the outside safer barrier. I think they could have repaired that, but the left side is the one.
We'll go out there and see if we can't put it back on top of the board early tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a couple laps, and my guys are good. They're going to work on it fast.
That is the hardest thing for a driver, though, is to pull back the reins, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, but you got to be smart. And, you know, I was all excited. We know we could get back to the top of the board with that South Point Impala, and I wanted to do it, and I just was impatient. And whenever you're impatient, all you're going to do is get yourself in trouble.
Thanks, Brendan.
So he was on a practice qualifying run. Now, the good news, since this has happened in practice.
Nationwide Series start. He's an ARCA veteran. And let's see if his Dodge can overcome a lack of speed in practice. Mike Garvey is still the bubble driver at 29.59.
Whoa, oh, here he comes. Hang on to her, hang on to her.
Ouch.
And he knew he had to step it up to try to get into this show, and then the car just would not take it. 4 with his 51 car.
Yeah. He starts up the hill here. You see him push, 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 and then snap. And then that right there didn't hurt it, but once it took off like this, if he could have just, look how see how he turned the wheels left. It was a perfect drive. Yep. It just didn't get down fast enough to keep from missing the wall. But he thought about it. He knew what he was doing.
He didn't have the speed in practice. He knew here he had to keep his foot in and not let off.
To his family in just a second. Let's go to Dick.
With Justin Allgaier, who was 4th in practice, but 2nd on the board so far. Oh, we got a crash on the racetrack as well. We'll be right back with you, Justin.
And Dick, that's Scott Lagasse in the 11 car.
Sorry, fellas. I thought I caught it.
A lot of damage to that.
I'm fine. Sorry about that. I thought I caught it.
Hermie, a lot of damage.
See him get down in here and see the back end kind of kick out just a little bit, going through the bumps, trying to see it wiggle. And I think it's where there he was. He thought he had it saved, and around it went. He got away from him, and up in that outside safer barrier he goes.
Hermie, when it came around in a hurry.
It really did. We'll look at another angle here at real time. It looks like he made, Jeff, hitting those bumps in 1 and 2. Look, he got down on the white line maybe just a little bit right there.
not saying that really caused the accident, but he was down really low, and by doing that had a lot of wheel input.
Well, you know this racetrack better than I do.
Big trouble for Mike Harmon. Lost his number 84 Chevrolet in between turns 1 and 2, and look at the damage to that formerly pretty race car.
Harmon, what happens? Step up here. Yeah, this is what happens. We talked about you telling your driver what you have to do to get in this show, and he really needed to pick up his practice speed from yesterday, and you drive a little bit harder down in turn 1 than he did any time yesterday, and you just don't know exactly what the car's going to do. It may have bottomed out, Jeff.
Well, it looked to me almost like you see the brake rotor, pieces of the brake rotor coming out beneath that car. It looked almost like when the car got down, it got in those bumps, and it upset itself and broke loose a little bit. He tried to chase it up the racetrack, and we saw every time anybody gets up in that area right there, they just can't keep it off that outside wall. And here he goes again. Mike Harmon, 84, rounding hard in the outside wall. I mean, it is killed that left front tire, left side of that car.
Let's take a look in real time.
He was in trouble as soon as he got down in the corner. He got in those bumps and the car slid up the racetrack. Then you start putting more wheel into it, Jeff.
That Kurt has been treating every practice
trouble,
session.
Dick, excuse me. Joey Logano spins through the quad oval, kisses the wall right at start finish.
But it was just a kiss. I don't know that there's a lot of damage to that car.
Just hold it right there. And you
Bump to right, hitting anything until the very end here. Watch him. He's coming off 4. You just listen. Hear the wheel spin. And he comes down through here. Got it.
Hold on there.
Hold on. Kiss.
Couldn't even hardly hear it.
All right.
So for the third week in a row, Logano has come up against the fence in practice.
He's 10th quickest. That was his 19th lap of this practice session. Joey not doing double duty here this weekend.
Who's on track side?
We have got a
big show. Oh, yeah.
Carl Edwards and Mark Martin.
Look at that. The 77 appears to have made contact
right there.
Got loose getting in the corner
with Jeff Bird's safer barrier. Coming off the corner here, let's see. Down in turn 1 where he got in on the straightaway.
Middle of the straightaway, about to start finish line.
Been having a lot of trouble with the car down here in turn
16 laps. Spin turn 1 and crash, Michael Waltrip.
Well, what's up with that?
Ouch.
Yeah, I thought I had it.
That's definitely going to be a backup car material there.
I'm fine.
Wow, let's see. Get a replay here and see what happened. That was quick. He's coming off the corner. The car gets loose. That's what he was saying. I thought I had it, and it just stepped out and just kept on going. He couldn't save it. Gets loose right there, which we see that all the time up off the corner, and then he goes down and nails that inside wall. Hard lick.
Now Michael was 27th quickest. But it almost did look like he just about was able to drive out of
Big City because, again, they have been a long-time sponsor here. Oh, no, Mike.
Oh, man. They used up that car. Mike Harmon. Now, what can you say? You know, there's a fellow who's trying to make it and trying to get the job done.
Have not been good for that race team.
Have a look, Hermie.
He's loose right in the center of the corner, Jeff. He never.
Right. And that's a hard lick right there with the driver's side.
And there's
spins around another one. But fortunately, both of those are there with the safer barrier, so it does at least lessen the impact some.
Heads up by John West Townley there to kind of slow down and miss that wreck. But tough break for Mike Harmon, a guy, like you say, he's trying to come, make these races and make some laps, and that's a really
question for you. If you don't look, if you trouble.
Right here.
Ouch.
Steve Grissom. Steve Grissom in the 0.
Very similar to what we've been seeing. These guys coming off the corners trying to get a lot of speed, Jeff, and just gets loose before you know it.
Again, just right there on the late exit of the corner. I mean, you would have thought he's up on the straightaway. No. Not a big deal, but the car must have been extremely loose. You've got to respect this place. I mean, there's another car that's tore up right now. It's Casey Atwood in the 05 car. He has definitely got that car around, and a lot like everybody else, he's gotten the outside wall and with the left rear quarter.
Well, this looks familiar.
Mike Harmon all over again.
And where there's one wall, boom, there's another. Missed that one.
We can't stress enough, I mean, how quickly that thing comes around. You can just see Casey Atwood. I mean, he's in the center of the corner. Next year, you know, he is back around. That's in slow motion, but that stuff happens so fast, it's hard to react to it. And you can be...
Under caution at the Bristol Motor Speedway, Michael McDowell got loose in between turns 3 and 4. Let's take a look. Here's a look at McDowell.
Just gets loose right there on the exit. We've seen that a lot here in the Nationwide Series during the 2 practice sessions. Now qualifying here for the Scott's Turf Builder 300.
You could hear it, Jeff, when he got sideways, he nailed the throttle trying to keep the back end and off the wall. That's what you have to do, but it spun around and got the driver's side.
But I still believe what he was able to accomplish right there. If you'll notice, that car was nowhere near as damaged as much as the other deal.
On the racetrack, Jeff, he did not get on the racetrack in first practice, so he was making his 4th lap on the track and got away from it.
Yeah, Joe's one of the veterans. See what happened to him here in the 71 car. Comes into the corner. He just got loose getting in. I mean, it's the first one we've seen do that, but hard impact with the outside safer barrier. Now,
on board with Stephen Wallace.
Down the back straightaway. He gets a little bit loose. He just busted the wall there.
Yes, he did. Hermie, I want to talk about the mental.
To his truck, and the caution comes out right away. We've got a spin at turn number 1. It was the 23 that got around Jason White.
Oh, he got into the fence, too. Yeah, gunbroker.com Dodge has a little bit of left rear brake as you can, because as you talk about, Michael, you use so much. Watch, this is another look at the bottom of your screen. You see it look like that's about the time that he would have got on the brakes. More than likely just locked up those rears, maybe wheel hopped a little bit and around that thing went. But the guys really want to utilize the rear brake as much as they can. So that's a fine line, that balance, and they're able to adjust that.
Second caution of the day has come out, and it was Ricky Carmichael getting a little bit loose in 3 and 4. Got it turned
here. This is the middle of the backstretch. Gets in pretty good, gets to the center, and then just the back end just kicks out a little bit. About the time
brakes.
he was ready to get back in the throttle.
Okay. Hang on, they still ain't throwed to caution. I don't know why.
You can see right in the center of the corner, the back end kicked out, and then once it kicked out, it just snapped around.
Well, and that's all about
damage on the racetrack. That is Robert Richardson Jr. And he was on his 2nd lap of qualifying when it got away from him. He kept it away from the outside wall, but not so good on the inside wall. Let's take another look.
Well, Hermie, I thought he did a great job staying out of the outside. You see him just get loose, getting in the corner. Now watch this now. He's doing a great job to keep it out of the outside wall. And I said, well, he's home free. Then all of a sudden, I said, oh, watch out for the inside wall.
Yeah, that's heavy contact on the inside wall. He did exactly what you're supposed to do, but you've got to, you know, keep it off the outside. But look, he's loose field before he ever gets to really to the center of the corner. He didn't have a chance right there.
He really didn't. He hadn't even got to the point where you say, I can abort this attempt here. Yeah. He was loose before he got there.
He was committed.
He was committed. No safer barrier either on the inside. So quite a bit of damage to that Mahindra Chevrolet.
Before you get to the middle of the corner, he's already got the wheel turned to the right. And like you say, you can see the rear wheel spinning. He's keeping the car off the back. Does a great job. But you've also got to keep it at bank, and just shoved him 24 degrees of bank and shoved him right into the inside barrier.
So Robert Richardson Jr. was
everything else, but as Carl said, you've got to keep your foot in it to run fast.
And that's exactly what Robert Richardson was trying to do, keep his foot in it. The back wheels came around on him. We'll be back, more qualifying here on Speed.
The big question, what happened to Mark Martin? Fastest in practice.
Oh, trouble down turn 4, got a car around.
Looks like Sam Hornish going for a big lurid slide that started at the entry of 3 and didn't stop till the exit of 4.
He smoked him, man. I looked up and I saw a trail.
More than a quarter mile sideways. Here he comes.
He was up a little bit high on that entrance, I believe, Darrell.
Yeah, I've been watching a number of these cars over there, and it's the same thing as yesterday. We got a strong wind blowing up the third turn, banking there, and I think it's turning some of these cars just to make them a little bit push up the hill, getting the loose stuff.
And I don't think we can emphasize enough the speed at this place. Entrance speed's close to 200. Yesterday in qualifying, off the throttle, the slowest speeds we were seeing was about 170.
Sixth trip to Phoenix in a nationwide car. Oh boy. Wallace is in the fence. And that's that.
Tell you, turn one is a tough corner to get down into. I mean, it's hard on the brakes.
Tire, dude.
We'll have to look again, Hermie. Did the right rear go down going into the...
That tire's already going down, Mike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you saw the car take that first little hitch. And that was the tire letting go. Now, since he did take the green flag, that is his qualifying run.
It's a tough break for him. I mean, he was not fastest in practice, Mike, and had a pretty good race car, but he ran over something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tire went first, definitely. You could see going in turn one, the tire was already flat and off the rim, so tough break for him. And they're getting ready to enter the corner and start his braking, and just in a second, you'll see a piece of metal fly off right there.
There it goes.
You see it right there.
I didn't see anything on the track as he approached that area, so perhaps that could have been something that came off Steve's car. The Verizon Dodge leads the Rookie of the Year standings by 5 points over the much more seasoned Brendan Gaughan. And around he goes.
I spoke too soon. Stop it.
Oh, that hurt. The car, at least.
Guys, we're going to need to get a backup car out.
He's still trying to get going to come to get the green flag. Got down on the apron a little bit, trying to get the car to cut a little bit. Maybe just took a little bit of wedge out right there. And you're right, Mike. No safer barrier right there. That's all concrete. See him get down on that apron, Mike. He went down. I'm not saying too low because I don't know what he's been doing in practice, but you go down on that apron, it takes a lot of wedge out of the car and just turn him right around. Very disappointing. He was 6th fastest in practice, Mike. Had a really strong car in practice.
Here, guys.
My goodness.
Got another car around.
Cautions breed cautions as Greg Biffle has a slide through the grass at start.
Maybe these guys, you can't run wide open at Richmond. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, you know, and I think this is the same tire. I know it's the feet, which this is kind of normal for this racetrack. Getting loose up off of turn 4 like that is something that you really kind of have to deal with because you got a lot of wheel in it. You're wide open in the throttle. Sometimes the back end will snap out like that.
From Jeff Burton's point of view.
The car just came around on him late exit of turn 4.
Yep.
So it's an exciting practice session in Richmond, and it's only what? All the way to the wall, as if maybe he cut a tire down. I'm not sure those are his skid marks.
You know, I might
right
be
up where the truck.
I think that might be Junior's skid marks there.
I don't think John got the wall.
I believe John got to it, but
we do have qualifying.
See John up here high. Yeah, no, when you get up high at this racetrack, there's a lot of dirt and debris. You can see it all along the outside of the racetrack right here. A lot of rubber, sand, dirt, and all that stuff that builds up. You get that on your tires, have enough room to do any, no recovery room here at all. One little line around it. Well, there you go.
Kurt
like that.
Busch.
And I think that's a brand new car. I heard them say that they had high hopes for.
Was a brand new car.
I don't see much damage on it.
I don't know that he hit anything.
I see a lot of black marks.
Yeah. Well, that took all but about 25 sessions.
Well, based on earlier, the nationwide truck. Oh, see, he just gets up too high. See all that dust and dirt?
I'm going to tell you what, Darrell, he's about as lucky as you can be that thing did not hook. Watch it when it goes right here, that it didn't hook right there. and get into the fence.
You know why it can't? These cars, if you run a chain on the sway bar, it might have tried to hook. But if you got the bar,
the other side of Tony Stewart's car, not so good. Pancaked.
Say she is.
That's multiple stripes. That's multiple Darlington stripes. He got up there and laid into it. Looks like
it's going off into turn 3.
And that's what I love about this joint. Yeah, you can see he just got up there and stayed. You'll get through 1 and 2. Man, you'll sail her into 1. You'll get back in the gas, and you got her cranked.
The safer barrier collects another one. Down in turn 1, it is Scott Speed. Said he got loose. Here's a look.
He just gets
coming
up,
in from the right.
Gets in high, getting into 1 here. Gets up way high in the loose stuff. Back in, steps out. Pow, pow, pow.
That's 3 out of 4 corners.
Yes.
And as I think I mentioned earlier, Scott Speed had an issue in Nationwide Series practice as well, coming off turn 4.
And no disrespect to the Speedway by any means, but I don't know why they made such a big deal out of what
peeks out at all. There's David Pearson on the left, the Silver Fox.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. David Ruderman.
He was right up there, too. He's 10th quick. He's been up in the top 5 I've ever seen. The man is just clever.
Now this isn't funny.
Yikes. Got up too high, and you see all that dust flying up, and when you get that on those hot tires, you lose all control of the car.
And that's in turn 2, and I think Darrell documented a while ago when we were riding with Casey Kane. You've almost got like turn 2A and 2B. And unless you've got fresh tires on brand new tires, it's hard to run through there without working that throttle.
I want to show you what makes turn 2. But I want to show you something. Look at the groove. You come up here, you're right up next to the wall, coming in the middle of the corner. But then look how the groove goes way off down here. I mean, you got all this area up in here that you don't even use, and that's where all that debris and dust and sand and everything builds up. And so I always said this when I come to Darlington. I wish up there in the middle of turns 1 and 2, they would put an X on the racetrack. So I know that's where I got to make my next cut.
To turn down.
To turn down to get out of that corner, because if you miss it by just a car length or 2, you end up in that loose stuff and spun out and wrecked.
And well, let's show you what happened to the Bud car.
He explains it pretty well in his radio transmission we had there. He just got up high in the middle of 3 and 4 and rode the wall. It didn't look like he banged it too hard, just scraped it a little bit.
It's up there in the dust. Slaps it.
You think you're right up against the wall.
Well, Sudden Sam has become Sideways Sam here at Darlington today. He has skinned up the right side of that Mobil 1 Dodge.
He's having quite the experience here today. This is his second excursion. Just gets loose. Get up here in that gray area. That's what happens.
But when you can see the tires blowing as they're sliding, but when you spin off turn 4 at Darlington, and you
has just been in the fence, A.J. Allmendinger with the right side. That is the reason that this practice session has gone under the red flag briefly. Let's have a look at the right side. Yep.
You know, if any
over there off turn 2.
Yeah, and Bobby Labonte is in the wall.
Dadgum.
Now Labonte's time, which was second quickest, now it's 10th.
He got it pretty good too.
Yeah, he was trying to make another mock course and is now quickest. And there's a look at Bobby Labonte up in the fence.
He got her pretty good.
Turn 2 again.
But you can just see how look at the dark streak and look at the groove off turn 2 over there, and look how narrow it is. And if you get out of that, you're in big trouble. That Yoakum's down there. Oh yeah, that's hard on that right front. He just stepped out with him, and that's the fine line you walk.
He lost it and caught it, but the racetrack just wasn't wide enough by the time he caught it.
Once you get that dirt on your tires, you're done. You got no control.
And we've got about 5 minutes left in this practice session. We've got 45 cars here. 18 have been bitten by the lady in black.
Well, Jimmy Johnson in the Lowe's Chevrolet, third fastest in final practice. 2 wins here, 8 top 10s, 6 top 10 starts, including the outside pole in 2003.
Oh, man, that thing is, oh, yeah, it's in trouble. Oh. Man, that thing was out of control.
Way back in one.
Way back there. Well, that's something. There's 2 things I haven't seen in a pretty good while with this 48 team. Last week, a mechanical problem, and way back here in the middle of the corner. It's already hanging out. When he gets right here, look, it's already hanging out with him, hanging. And I'm not sure if he thought he could save it, or I guess that was what we've been going through his mind at that point, but that thing was loose.
Mike, those 2 shots, watch this right here. This will show you what a great job that the tethers on things like the deck lid does in that wing. See how they hold it onto the race car? That's something that NASCAR added to these cars several years ago. Hard lick, but you can see the wing and the deck lid still hanging on to that race car.
Something we haven't seen a lot of, too, is Larry, that spoiler is broken off of the deck lid.
The wall here at Darlington, Darrell, is higher than at a lot of the tracks we run. The safer barrier is taller, and it does catch that. You'll see the impact absorbing qualities of this car of today platform. Jimmy Johnson is okay, and qualifying will continue when we return.
Kirk Shelmerdine just went up against the wall down in turn 3 and 4 in his 27 car. You can see all the damage on the right front. Caution will wave.
Yeah, there's some pieces out there. Norm Benning also made it out on the track for 1 lap, his first lap of the day. Here's Kirk.
He just gets in there, and it will not turn, and going up the hill, and I mean, it almost looked like I had a right front tire down. It just went
never
up the
even
hill.
wanted to attempt to turn.
No, huh? You could see it was kind of digging, but it wouldn't turn. Yeah, I believe to see that smoke come out of it. I think it might have cut a right front tire down.
It's LIL, Steve Burns.
The Lil 600. Thank you, Wendy. And we're under caution. Brad Keselowski in the 88 car has made contact. He's headed to the garage. Take a look, boys, at what happened.
It's coming off turn 2 right there, and looks like something broke or a tire went down or something.
Well, he just never did get a turn.
He never did, and the car never did turn.
Well, you know yourself, Carmi, coming up off that corner, if you miss that apex of that corner, it'll throw you out of the groove. And it's almost like I say, you got up out of the groove. And even though we raced here last week, listen.
On board with Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, you hear it. Yeah, something happened. Tire went down on the right side.
Something happened. Yeah.
Big. Right here he is.
You can hear that tire tear there, the right front for that reason. Got trouble right there in the middle of 3 and 4. You got a car up against the safer barrier, spinning
hard
around.
Impact.
Yep, hard impact right there. 75 car. That's Brandon Canutt.
Brandon Canutt. And he has backed it into the wall in a bad way.
Yeah, I was watching him, Steve. He came in on a real high arc, like a lot of the guys have been doing, and all of a sudden the car just really came around on him and up in that outside safer.
Here start.
And the Bob he's talking about is Bob Shackleton. Got down to the bottom of the race car, and again, there it is.
Bob Shack, longtime ARCA REMAX Series driver and owner.
We talking about the speeds here. We don't talk a lot about it. It's hard to really fathom how fast they're going, but you can tell by the damage to this car, Steve, just how fast he bagged that thing into the wall.
And Harvey, just watching it, it looked like that car got loose on him. Really, like I say, on the entry, he got down to the bottom of 3.
This has been a long day already, a long 90 minutes for Brad Keselowski. He has trouble again.
Guys, if I didn't know any better, he just raised the hood, looked inside.
It's a backup car. This is not a replay. This is actually off turn 4.
Ooh.
Same looking kind of incident, Jeff, but off turn 4 instead of off turn 2.
Yep. Information and get the 62 up there a little bit quicker.
And it's a fun racetrack to drive, Jeff. When your car
back it down.
Turn 4. John West Townley. Turn 4.
Zaxby's car goes around. Looks like there's been some contact with the rear end. Hard contact. from the wall. And
got away from right there on late exit, it looks like. And yeah,
The
pretty
throttles,
heavy.
when you lock up the tires, you're along for a ride. You can't drive it no more.
When conditions are icy, when you're hard on the brake like that, it's hard to do much.
And what's your first
like
instinct?
Steer.
Yeah, what's your first instinct is, Mike, once you lose the back end of that car, is to try to keep it in the gas.
Now to Herbie's point, let's look at this in real time. There it goes. There's the wall.
I mean, that car came around in a hurry. I don't know what happened to lead up to it to get him free, but doesn't look like to me he had a whole lot.
Joey Logano. Hey, we'll be talking about them race cars like that. But, you know, I think it's real easy as we're watching the 10-car Bernie Lamar come up to speed. Oh, hang on to her, Bernie. Hang on to her, Bernie. Oh, that's a hard impact right there, guys.
Well, he did. If you're going to hit it, he did get the safer barrier.
He did do that. But
before it started to narrow toward the exit of the corner. But wow.
I'll be interested in the safety crew, but he got down that corner and around she went, Hermie.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this a couple of times. He's down real close to the white line, but he's well above, the apron when that happens, and it comes around in a big hurry, Jeff.
Big time. I mean, and again, that's backup written all over it. And unfortunately for Bernie Lamar.
Now the tires look up. I would have thought the way that car snapped around, Jeff, that he might have cut down a tire, but they looked like they were up as he drove away.
No, car just stepped out on him. It really did. And like what Hermie said, I mean, when it comes around that quick, I mean, we got it in slow motion right there so you can get a good look at it. I mean, it was just like snap of the fingers around it came, but you can clearly see all 4 tires are up on the 10 car.
No.
He really hit the wall.
I think he was just distracted by the clouds. Yikes.
Pow.
I think he had us tuned in.
Caution's out.
Yeah, they're going to check turn 1 and 2 for a little bit of debris.
Larry, the last time I saw clouds, it looked like that.
Jeffrey Earnhardt, who is not part of the rookie.
Oh, no! Hang on to it.
No! Keep your brakes on. Let the 88 get past you. You're good.
A hard hit, and both ends.
Got it pretty good there, guys.
Damaged on Jeffrey Earnhardt's car.
We can take a look at the front of this car and see if he hit it. Looks like they were just about taped up solid.
Yep.
Probably trying to make a little bit of a qualifying run, Jeff. Just got loose coming off turn 4.
We saw it earlier right there. You get that point right the corner. And again, it stepped out on him. And I thought for a second he was going to be able to hang on to it, but
he did.
Again, this racetrack is so narrow. It just doesn't give you a lot of room for error.
Car got a little loose. He corrected it, steered into it. He corrected it, but came back straight a little too soon. And pow. Oof. Kept it off the outside wall. Still got hard damage on the inside wall. Dick?
Earnhardt, what happened?
Just my fault, driver error. These guys, they worked real hard, got this car real good, and I just lost it coming off turn 4. I hate it for the Fast Wax Chevrolet. These guys really worked hard today and have the car real good. I was excited and everything. I got a little too excited, I guess. My fault. I'll take the blame for it. These guys, they did their part. I just felt a little on mine, but we got a backup car. We'll get it out, see what it's like. Should still be pretty good. We don't bring bad stuff to the track, so we'll just see. That's all we can do now. Comfortable. I was comfortable as a driver, but now I know I need to back it up a little bit. But we'll be all right. We'll get the backup car out and get going.
How much more racing will you do in 2009?
It just depends by sponsors. It varies.
Okay. Look at that face. If you don't see a resemblance in that face, and Grandpa, I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, a tough day.
I don't know who's right in front of him. I can't really get a good clear view of that, but he is loose and he's in the wall right there, right off the corner right there.
Clear to the bottom.
That's Peyton Sellers.
Peyton Sellers right there.
Oh gosh.
Well, if you've been watching, Mike, from the in-car right there off the roof cam of the 12 car. The car kept working. It was loose, and all of a sudden it just snapped loose on him really big.
I seen it dance right in the center pretty bad right there.
And that's a shame, Jeff, because that's a team that comes in here. They are sponsored, but let's say they don't have an excess of funds. And that's going to be a pretty good setback for that 77 team.
Yeah, it is.
Well, for Peyton Sellers fans who were wondering if there was going to be a backup, did they have one on the truck? The answer is yes. The backup car is being unloaded. But how big a setback is this for you to have a big crash like this?
Well, we raced this car earlier this year that we're unloading now, and it's frustrating. We were making a sticker run there, and just the car broke loose all of a sudden there coming off turn 4, and we had been working to free the car up, and then for we'd been working with the rear end a lot, and I don't know what happened. It just came around all of a sudden there. It didn't give any warning at all. So I'm not too ashamed to take the blame if it was 100% my fault, but I really feel like something come loose in the car. But we'll just get back and look at it and take a look at it and see what happens. But we've got a good car to unload now, and we'll be okay.
All right, wish you well with the backup. Thank you, Peyton.
He has led over 2,200 laps at this track, second on the all-time list to Bobby Allison.
Now, if you got back trouble, you're going to know it here. 400 miles, I can tell you, because this place. Oh no! Goodness gracious!
In the wall, hard.
Just snapped loose all at once.
That was a hard lick.
Like he said, that hurt. The last thing that the man needed was pound the wall like that. That car just snapped.
You could see it on our throttle trace through 1 and 2.
Up just a little bit, tries to diamond it down, got it on the bottom here, but watch this thing. Just quickly snaps at the worst possible place.
He was trying to drive out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right here, and man, there's nothing you can do right there. You try to correct it, but it's too late. It's so fast. Slide. Man, and that's right out. No safer barrier right there.
That was pure wall there.
I love our race fans. I love their enthusiasm for this sport. But why would you cheer a thing like this? I don't get it.
I'm not sure either, Mike.
Last year, Eric Darnell captured victory by just 0.005 of a second.
Hang on, we got a spin right here on the back straight. Here comes Tony around.
Tony Stewart goes around. 35 minutes into this practice.
Tell you what, there's a lot of damage to the front end of that car. You can see the left front fender, the entire splitter destroyed. And he never made contact. You can see all the ductwork right there that's tore up. See what happened.
Just got loose on him, Larry. Sitting there watching as Steve was reading that promo.
Coming off turn 2.
Coming around.
And he's third quickest. He's run a total of 11 laps.
Ooh.
And that right there is what did all the damage. You can see part of the splitter just completely came off.
It's been a good racetrack for Tony Stewart, too. He's got a win here.
And Larry, I hate to say it, but I mean, I think grass makes a racetrack look real pretty, but it sure would have helped Tony Stewart out if that part right there had been asphalt instead of what it is. You can see clearly when he had that little crossover.
When he made that transition from grass to asphalt.
And I've seen that get guys upside down. You've been a part of that, I think, before here.
1992 with Davey
board.
Allison. He had picked the throttle back up, and right there.
Just broke traction.
Yep, I mean, he was well in the throttle coming off the exit of the tunnel turn, and there's going to be a lot of work to do to that 14 car to get ready for this next practice session.
We're down here with Tony Stewart. Tony, can you tell me what happened?
I just spun off the tunnel turn there and didn't hit anything. I just slid off in the grass, but I hit the right front of the splitter with, against one of the access roads or something, and it ripped the whole nose off of it.
How do you adjust to the backup car now? A lot of people who don't do what you do wonder how different it is from the race car to the backup car. Are you fairly confident in your backup machine?
Yeah, I mean, you look at how Jeff Gordon ran last week and ended up with a bad part there for a little bit, but had a good car, and we'll be the same thing. This car will be good too. It's just the time that we're losing on the racetrack right now.
Oh, yeah. You did not want the backup car that was in the truck. Yeah, you didn't want the backup. We were just talking about how slick the racetrack is and how you can get it. A car can get out from under you coming up off a corner. Talked about turn 1. Here's the 83 car. As he exits the corner and you run up that hill, Wally, you know how it is? It just dumps you all of a sudden. And here he is down in the grass with better results than what we saw in Tony's car because he's backing through it.
That's Brian Vickers in the 83 car.
You know, I'm going to say something about Tony's car. One thing.
Skinner had some choice words for Brian Scott. He was not happy with the way he had raced him on the track. And Hornaday's in trouble.
Sideways for Ron Hornaday. It looks like no contact as of yet.
Whoa, everybody had to go up around him.
Yeah, he was right in front of that big pack that we were watching. The left rear tire was flat when he was sideways. I don't know if that caused this accident or that maybe came after the accident, but you can see the time getting back to pit road because he doesn't want to tear the rubber off that tire. Watch this truck as it. Oh, he knows right now something's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, Matt Crafton did a nice job avoiding it, and Ron Hornaday did a nice job not letting that truck. Typically your truck will slide up to the outside wall, but Ron did a nice job.
Watch him. He's still driving it. He's still
the
not
whole
convinced
time.
He can't keep it going straight.
Yeah, the whole time. You see, watch him get back in the throttle.
Need a little gas here
to try to get it back down away from the outside. Take a look back at what happened to Ron Hornaday. He enters turn number 3. He knows something's wrong. You see the truck wiggle. His left rear tire already down. He drives that thing the whole way, trying to keep that truck from in front of oncoming traffic. And there was a lot of it because there was a huge pack of trucks. We're going to see him go by right now that were running together.
He finally decided he better just sit still until they all got by because he couldn't quite.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it twice in practice. Jimmy Johnson actually spun first lap on the racetrack right here. Greg Biffle gets loose coming off of turn 2 and slides down the inside of the racetrack. And you don't see that from the Biff very much, but you know what that means, JR? You got to have these cars loose to run fast. And if Greg Biffle can't hold it, it is very, very
keen as well. In fact, the 48 had a little loop-de-doo coming off of turn 4 going down pit road. Initially, he thought that the 14 car hit him. In fact, he came on the radio and said, "Hey, man, he's been driving forever, and he hit me. What happened there?" Tony Stewart came on the radio and basically said, "Hey, I didn't even come near him. So if he thinks I hit him, he's got another thing coming." So that was one incident, but the 48 is okay. They were back out on the racetrack, and so was the 14. Now, very late in the practice session, as we come back to our camera here in the garage area,
a couple of the bigger names involved in the sport had some problems. Larry Mack, Tony Stewart, and Jimmy Johnson, do they get together?
It looked like Jimmy Johnson was a little loose. Tony got into it, and I will say that was the first lap on the track during that first practice session. They really almost were not even up to speed.
Well, that side of the 34 car, driven by Johnny Andretti, looks good, but folks, the right side is torn up. We're under caution, a full course caution here at the Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California.
Off of him.
It's the exit of pit road.
Oh, me. And what John Andretti looked like he was trying to do is trying to wait till there was a little bit of an opening there. That was a strange wreck. Down to turn 3 and 4.
Around he goes.
I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was all up against the wall.
Larry, it looked to me like he just came in and got it a little bit high, and away it went.
And then when he got up there, I think the reason he spun out, you pick up so much rubber on your tires.
He was trying to keep it off the wall.
In 6,
Take a look at it, Larry. Here he goes. Gets in there. It's a little bit hard. It looks like car gets loose on him. Just didn't have no grip.
He really didn't hit the wall that hard.
No, it just like I say, the right rear quarter panel more than anything else.
Matt Yoakum.
And the report from Mark Martin, Alan Gustafson is
Tony Stewart's car, his backup being unloaded because he too has made heavy contact with the wall here at New Hampshire.
Just right before Mark Martin did, you can see down in turn 1 and 2, Tony against the wall, and there's a lot of damage to that car. I think that's the reason Darian Grubb and that group didn't even hesitate to get that backup car unloaded. Now, again, remember the NASCAR rules. If you go to a backup car and you present your car for qualifying this afternoon with the engine you plan on racing, basically you can start.
Well, that flag there is working pretty hard, but it looks like it's blowing right down the back straightaway.
We got over here. We got Greg Biffle in the 16 car, and that's Sam Hornish in the 77 car. This is the worst fear of a crew chief and a driver, for that matter, in the closing minutes of final practice.
Greg Biffle thinks he's all right.
37 minutes into this final practice for the Coke Zero 400. Greg Biffle, who won his very first Sprint Cup Series race several years ago. Let's take a look. He and Sam Hornish Jr. get together.
Yeah, that was kind of after the fact right there, so I'm not real sure.
Just looking at it, it's almost like, Greg may have come up and got a little bit, thinking the high lane was clear right there, and it looked like those two guys got together because almost like the 77 had gotten into his right rear quarter panel and turned him into the outside wall.
Well, there's no question.
On board with Steve Wallace, and this is not Hermie Sadler's fault.
I think that would be called loose under braking getting into turn 1.
I'd almost call that wheel hop. End result, same.
Yep.
Spun out.
Good news is Steven doesn't hit anything.
And you know what? The good news for our fans that'll be watching the nation.
A few things happening like last week at Iowa where they had a fast car again and then had a problem.
Oh, we got a problem. Oh, man, Jason Leffler has torn up the Great Clips Toyota. And that's the one thing. I talked to him just about an hour ago.
And usually they'll have one. We're going to get a look at it right here. You can see, whoa, it really gets loose. A fast part of the track as you're exiting, trying to get, wow, look at the car get up in the air.
Man, that's a violent hit.
That's a tire wall over there in front of the guardrail that you hit, and you can see that it just sent.
It's basically a lap around this 2.5-mile road course with about shifting about a dozen times per lap.
More trouble.
Clint Boyer, the
off
33
track.
car. And Clint had just started, I think, his second run because Clint's actually 8th quickest, and we will get a caution on the racetrack because Clint will not be able to drive out of there. They will have.
Comes in here. Oh, he got off the course way back.
I think he was going to be way too fast to make that corner.
The
law of physics was going to take over.
Because Sam had some issues on the track here just a moment ago.
And see, that was turn 10 that he was coming around. This is the last corner, turn 11. Whoa.
Thing just snapped around on Sam.
Yeah, you have to be really careful right there. It's a fast corner. You want to really carry speed. Did a great job of keeping it out of everything, not hitting, really didn't even come to a stop, but did use up that set of tires.
He's raced all over the world in different kinds of race cars, and said his favorite event, Nürburgring. Oh, just as we talk about that, he's into the pea gravel.
And he's not going to come out until some assistance comes his way.
This could shorten up practice a little bit for everybody. The red flag is out.
14.
21st quickest, Steve.
14 minutes in, that caution comes out for Boris Said.
This is exactly what happened to Clint Boyer yesterday. Let's take a look. This is going off into turn 6, almost identical to Clint Boyer. Real loose, well before he got down into that corner. But if that pea gravel was not there, this would be a good shot. That's
wheel hop.
Wheel hop. Now what that is, you're downshifting. You're downshifting getting into that corner. Let's take one more look at it.
Yeah, we need to listen to this too one more time. That was unbelievable wheel hop getting down in that corner. You see the rear wheels just bouncing, and that's what happens to it.
All right, let's look at it one more time, and let's listen. Let's listen to Boris Said what he hears.
You can see almost how violent that is, Steve, when the car starts hopping inside there. Nothing he could do.
Let's explain, though, why that's happening. Is you're downshifting from 3rd to 2nd gear. That's one thing that's going to enhance it. The other thing, it's heavy braking. And what these guys do at a road course, it's what got you.
Let's not forget, we're running backwards here. The crews will pit backwards tomorrow. We got another car around, Bobby Labonte, 96 car, down there, turn 1. So that's going to be another big challenge tomorrow for the crews.
And what Jeff means is everywhere we go in the cars, gains 4 tires every stop, but it just throws a little bit of their rhythm off. Here you see Bobby Labonte just down there in turn 1. This, I'm sure, got a little loose getting in. But I want to go back to Mark Martin, and I want to mention something that we've not mentioned. And what that is the fact he has adapted to this new car obviously very well. He has 4 wins in 2009. But just remember, he has not raced
racetrack and then carry that speed all the way out to the wall. Yeah, you really have to make sure you carry that exit speed, because if you don't, somebody will get to the inside. Now, here's what we were talking about, that strip of asphalt. You can see down to the bottom. Tony's shooting high in the wall. God.
We're back up, guys.
And Tony
spins right in front of Jeff Gordon.
And Kurt Busch goes by, and Tony has pancaked that car.
Yeah, that car is, that's a backup car for sure.
We talk about it being Groundhog Day. This happened in June on the final day. It happened in happy hour back in June when he had an issue with a Tony Stewart in turn 3.
You want to arc the car in pretty high right there to get down to that
that asphalt, but man, just wasn't a lot of grip there.
Yeah, he got on the asphalt, and it was just like there was no grip there whatsoever. And these guys had told me yesterday in the garage area that strip of pavement is losing a lot of the grip that it had the first couple of years.
When they put that asphalt down through that groove, it was black. You could see a big difference in color. Now you see the color is not nearly the difference. So you've lost a lot of grip there over the last couple of years now.
Now from Tony's onboard camera, watch what he saw.
We were riding with him when this happened real time, but
wow. You could just see the back end of the car start out. There's really nothing you can do in that situation. You don't have much room, and as you get off of that one strip, there's even less grip than.
Just 8 minutes in to this NASCAR Nationwide Series practice, and we see smoke in the distance.
Like the 26 car of Michael McDowell maybe had a problem off turn 2. Just dead loose, just past the center of 1 and 2. We actually saw a couple of cars get that way in Sprint Cup Series practice. You know, it's almost like a little bit of that started when he dipped those left side tires down below that yellow line on the apron, and that's almost what started getting that car a little bit on the free side. And as he was picking the throttle up and carrying more speed, it just came on around.
You know, the funny thing about it, he's been driving this car for the last 3 races with a pretty good finish at Iowa.
So let's take a look. I think we may have found who put the mark on the wall.
Oh, yeah. Not too bad. And he's quicker into turn 3. Let's see what happens. Oh, he gets a piece of the wall right there. A lot of guys have trouble at that part of the racetrack, and he did too.
Yeah, so they're going to have some work to do on this 2 car. Is right now they're going to have to wait it. Let's take a look at this. You can see him up high. The car starts to get loose, and you just run out of racetrack up there. You're carrying so much momentum. But what they had to work with him yesterday is this car has a lot less power with the tapered spacer and the 390 carburetor than the ARCA car, is keeping the car wound up, not binding it up, you know, because it's almost like running with a restrictor plate at this racetrack. Because they do run the tapered spacer, you're in.
Townley hits the wall hard. Coming off of turn 2, there's his car being pushed into the garage. And let's keep you updated on who is locked in. Ryan Newman, Paul Menard, Willie Allen, and Jeremy Clements all in as we watch John West Townley once again.
You could see right there in the middle of the corner as the car was going to take a set, back end kicked out, and it just got worse from there.
9 drivers yet to qualify. Dennis Setzer is next up.
You know, Jeff, sometimes it can be deceiving. He's been doing.
Now he got it. He got the wall.
And that's not going to be good for John West Townley, because now he's completed lap 1, and of course there's damage on the car, and that's probably going to send him home at what he would consider his home track, because now he has tripped the clocks for lap 2. Plus, I think there's just a tremendous amount of damage as well.
West Townley coming off turn 4.
He's up high, just ran out of racetrack, hit the wall, and of course just spins from there. Just no grip whatsoever. I think this goes back to what we were talking about at the top of the show. A lot of these guys that's not been on the racetrack since this morning don't realize how slick this racetrack is right now.
Yeah, and according to practice, he was plenty quick enough, I think, to make this race 5th quickest as far as the go homer is concerned. But again, just trying to carry too much speed off of that corner, and the car would not hold it.
Yeah, it wasn't like it got real loose or picked up a push. It just was in a 4-wheel slide.
Look at Marcos Ambrose up in the wall.
Ooh, he's leaving black marks, guys.
Yes,
that's not a good sign.
Had a great run at the Bristol Motor Speedway, finished 3rd in a.
Sam Ard was a tough competitor, I can assure you. I was fortunate enough to race against him a lot of years.
Whoa, and look out!
Wheel right.
One guy who's been setting records and one guy who wanted to.
Okay, can you drive it back in?
At least
I think we got the inside
take a
wall.
step in the right direction. Just took a step in the wrong direction. Take another look at flashback. If you're his age right now and you do this, What are you going to tell these guys when you get back in?
I don't know. I'd never even driven a race car when I was his age, but I don't know. You know, you can just see it's a tough racetrack for the veterans. You'll see guys before this weekend over coming off of turn 2 that have been here many, many times, and they're going to get sideways and lose it there too. It's just the car really unloads as you come up out of there. You're carrying a lot of speed. The unfortunate thing, most places he would have been okay just spinning down, but the straightaways are banked so much here that it just takes you right down to that inside wall.
Well, and notice on the inside, there's no runoff area. There's the wall, and here it comes. Crunch. So a tough break for Matt, he's on the pole for the Camping World East race that's going to be running about 5 o'clock.
Good news and bad news for Clint Boyer, the Kansas native. He was 3rd quickest, but just as we went to commercial, he lost that number 29 car all by himself. Let's take a look.
That's over in turn 2, and he was actually making a long run. He's run more laps than anybody. He had just completed 8 laps, and they won't even have to question this, straight to a backup.
Let's listen now on board with Clint Boyer.
That's all she wrote for the in-car.
That is what you call
contact out on the racetrack. The 81 has hit the wall. That's Kevin Hamlin. And that is the first mangled fenders we've seen both in Sprint Cup action and now Nationwide Series tonight.
You're good to come down there.
These Nationwide cars, they cannot handle that same abuse.
All right, let's see what we can find out from here. Oh, it's already happened at that point. He's already peeling the paint.
Yeah, he looks like he's had a high entry into turn 1. He's got up in the wall and is riding the wall all around right now, but definitely a backup car for him.
Can't tell if a tire went down first or whether or not he just lost it. But bad news for Kevin Hamlin. As
actually, you're going to see the 50 truck, but there was a little mud on the racetrack, and that's because somebody jumped over the curb, got into the little grass area.
It might have been the 50 truck of Wheeler. Had a bunch of car trailers lined up, just open trailers lined up along the inside.
And flowers. Weren't there flowers there?
That's exactly what it looked like right there. You can see he makes some contact with the inside wall. But right about the time he was going to get on the brakes, more than likely had too much rear brake.
And that thing will jump so fast that we saw.
Got about 6 minutes left in this practice. Juan Pablo Montoya is the quickest. And David Stremme has gone around in the 12 car. Red flag is out. Stremme down in between turns 1 and 2.
I think he may be a little luckier than his teammate, Sam Hornish Jr. So now we've had 2 cautions,
definitely so.
2 Penske cars. Just way up high. Looked like maybe the car got a little loose getting in there, and up there pretty much where there is no grip whatsoever.
Probably trying to make a qualifying run. Got in a little bit hot, wheel hopped, and kind of chased it up the corner, and around he went. Again, he was very, very fortunate right there.
Yeah, he was so loose at that point, there was no way he could turn the steering wheel.
Middle of this group right now to figure out exactly what you got and what your car will do. I know it sounds like a great strategy by Ryan Patty in the 42 group, but I think you've got to run in this pack somewhere, sometime to know you got trouble already starting 23 and 4.
One car on the racetrack is the Clint Boyer, the 33 BB&T Chevrolet.
But I saw another car smoking besides that. There it is, the 77 car. I thought I saw.
In fact, he's got quarter panel damage.
On board with Carl Edwards. Edwards makes contact with a 77.
You know what I think happened, guys? I think the 33 was behind that, saw what happened, and he probably spun because of it. He got some help.
Yeah, that was just a chain reaction. They started stacking up because someone up in the front of the pack got out of the throttle, another car got out, and then eventually nobody did.
And it might have been the 24 of Jeff Gordon up there. All of a sudden, he got up high.
It looked like it was the 17, Matt Kenseth, aboard that car that got into the back of the 33. Another look. See Sorensen in the 43. Jeff Gordon obviously in the 24 to the high side. We'll hopefully have that replay for you in just a minute. So caution come out. There's another look.
Yeah, I'm not sure Matt Kenseth got into Clint Boyer.
Maybe not.
No, it was a white car at the top of the
car
screen.
that was at the top, yeah.
I couldn't really tell who that was.
Again, this is all a product of just a chain reaction. One car getting out of the throttle, and then they just start stacking up.
Hornish into the back of the 00. Looked like Rudiman might have checked up a little bit.
But it looked like because Burton in the 31
Correct.
checked up for some reason.
You see damage to the rear of the 77 car. And folks, this is what illustrates the point we were making about Jimmie Johnson. So much can happen here so quickly.
And looking back again, it looked like it may have been the 96 car of Eric Darnell got in the back of the 33. And again, he's got a lot of it. He doesn't have the experience in this place a lot of guys do, even though he's run the truck series here before.
Right now, Richard Harriman would like to be in a camper. His qualifying effort didn't turn out as well as he wanted it to.
I got it, Brad. Does a really nice job, though. It gets away from him, but does a nice job of cranking that thing to the right, holding that gas wide open and keeping it out of that outside wall. He can race that truck, and that's a good accomplishment.
Put him some tires on there and race it, but he did a nice job here. Normally you would see those trucks back into the outside wall, but by virtue of the fact that he stayed in the throttle, kept the forward rotation going on the rear tires, he kept that thing from back on the fence.
You know me anymore. I don't know if you heard that story or not. So
Texas didn't go well for Michael.
I can only talk about him. I can't talk to him.
Do you want me to talk to him for you?
Maybe tell him we said good luck. Tell him we said good luck.
Maybe Monday you could talk to him for me.
I'll give him a call.
Oh, he's going to spin out. No. Get away from that wall. What a shame. He had such a solid first lap.
Trying to get just a little bit more out of it.
Get the backup. Get the backup. Monster Energy drink on the side of that truck. Rear ends tore up pretty bad.
Oh, it's not that bad. Trust me. When you back in the wall at 175, 80 mile an hour, like this right here, watch it fold up all the way to the rear of the back window up there.
We talk about front clips, rear clips. I mean, that's a situation where the whole rear end could be off now.
Yeah. I mean, you could pound it out. You know, you got time to pound it out and get it back, get it lined up a little bit, but it's still not going to be right. So if they've got to back up, I'd go to it.
Look at the damage on the back of that truck, and he did not make significant contact with the outside wall, but there's really...
NASCAR race day built by the Home Depot live Sunday at 11:30 Eastern here on Speed.
That's where we'll be right there. Uh-oh, we got trouble on the racetrack.
Whoa. Zero car driven by Jeremy Clements.
Definitely see some damage at the...
Clements, 29th overall, top of your screen. See some smoke, and he's up there in the wall.
It just seems like there is such a fine line, whether you're in a Sprint Cup Series car or a Nationwide Series car. We certainly see a lot of people.
Three-time winner, Jeff Burton, won here in 1998 and then again in 2007 as we go on board with Jason Leffler. We have a spin, Carl Edwards in the 60 car.
What'd I say?
It's going to happen early.
It's going to happen early. We're about 2 minutes and 44 seconds in this practice, and around he went. Let's take a look at this, Larry. You missed this. This is Carl Edwards right now coming off the corner.
Let me guess, that's turn
2.
That is turn 2. That's not turn 4.
We got a new corner involved.
Wow.
Obviously, and I really didn't know what to expect with the Copart Chevrolet, so just thank Kevin and Delana for the opportunity, and Raymond Hungerman obviously for helping us out this year.
Oh, trouble off of 4.
Bob, that's Eric Darnell who went around, and we talked about it right in the open of the show. This and Ryan Newman just confirmed it. This is a fast, slick racetrack right now.
Well, I think this is the first of several that will come during this qualifying session. Eric Darnell, and certainly these guys are going to have to go to a backup car. You could see up there, not quite against the wall.
We saw you heading that way.
But the car just got loose on him. This place just has no grip.
Yeah, 10-4.
And then your cars are running on the loose side qualifying anyhow.
Looser than it was last night.
Pretty similar to what happened to Juan Pablo Montoya here yesterday. Same
3 and 4. I got back to the gas pretty early, and it was good. And it just kind of snapped around on me. 10-4. The same thing happened to me last night.
And there's such a fine line with these Nationwide Series cars. I talked to a lot of crew chiefs, a lot of drivers this morning. The grip is there on the first lap, but because of the tapered spacer with a fairly high gear, Greg Biffle earlier on the exit of the corner.
That's late exit, and you see it's already sideways a little bit there. Now watch, whoa back, whoa back.
But you know one thing I'm noticing, they have not been bashful. I watched Tony.
Here we go. Here we
This
go.
is going to be
Here we
more
go.
than chasing it here.
Look out, look out, look out, look out.
Hold it here. Just hold the brake. Hold the brake. You'll be fine. Just hold the brake.
That's all
You're
he'll
fine.
need, though, is 4
Got
good
a
years.
flat front tire. That's right on the splitter.
Yeah, they don't. He doesn't need to try to move it right.
Hang on to it.
I don't know what it is about turn 4, but I heard in the truck series and now here today that turn 4 is just giving everybody a fit.
Look how high he is. I mean, he's above the black. We know they'll be racing there, but I don't know that there's a lot of rubber up there.
They're in there, but I've been watching everybody in 3 and 4 down here, and they are up in the gray.
Yeah.
I mean, up almost to the wall. And of course, you know, he likes to run up there. That's kind of his territory. But that's a pretty nice job of saving that bad boy, I can tell you that.
Got back in the throttle to kind of keep it off the wall, and then when it got around sideways, just locked it up. And he used up 4 good.
Away, another look at what happened to JPM.
He had to get me a new set of gloves, Larry. One bad boys out right there.
I guarantee he was a busy man the last 2 or 3 laps through there. And I've been up here trying in my.
Boy, he had his hands full coming down. You see him. We saw him wiggling that steering wheel back and forth and going way up. He's in trouble. And just clip the wall a little bit with the right rear.
Great job, though.
195 on your first lap. Good save there.
That is a good save because he could have really torn this car up. And they did make a little contact, but what he did after that was pretty stellar.
Yeah. And I'll go back to something I said a minute ago in the Jeff Burton fault. Car is always a challenge and a fine balance, whether it's of getting the speed out of it and how it's going to drive. As a driver, as you can see, this car is not very comfortable right here. Reed's trying to get the most out of it, but he just gets away from him. You always said, Andy, too, if you're up close to that wall, you won't hit it as hard, right?
That's right. He just barely gets a piece of it and does a really good job to save it from there.
Yeah, and so I wasn't saying that the car was bad or anything. It's just, it's a different challenge for these guys to find what is that balance between going fast and the comfort level that you can get in the car. And a lot of these guys have found, we see Jimmy Johnson drive his car literally sideways at a lot of places, and so it makes it difficult. But finding that edge and what's going to make your car go better is what you have to look for.
This is what happens when you go over the edge.
Right. How appropriate it was always Richard Petty, who drove the 43, said the closer to the wall you are, the easier you tap it.